does one return to the life of being a person after that profound enlightenment? Well, the answer is what chooses. What remains to choose, you see? What remains to understand? What remains to control? What remains to provide and answer with? How can the profound state of enlightenment, of the banishment of ego for a short period of time, obviously, how can it remain active or fitting into a world that is confrontational, divisionistic, holds states of hierarchy, is impoverished, is materialistic wealthy? How can one be separate from that world? Well, the external world will force, not intentionally, you see, just through their misunderstanding, when you say they, certain aspects of your mind that believe that there still exists a them and me, you see. Because even with a profound enlightenment, the most ultimate godly experience, you cannot erase what has been ingrained for centuries, whether it's in your brain, whether it's in your soul, whether it's in your mind. If you have a personal mind throughout this whole infinite, no beginning, no end journey, things, it's like the tree wants to remain pure, but the leaves, they hold some sort of, or they attract some sort of infection. And when the tree dies or transcends through that winter period and recovers again, sometimes the infection is still there, even through that profound, loss of all leaves. The beauty of enlightenment is to know that there's no answer. There is no one answerable. There's no one requesting or requiring an answer. It is what it is. Through centuries of ego, centuries of wars in our body states, creates trauma. They call it trauma in today's world. You think your trauma or their trauma just started when you were born? It's a traumatic experience once ego takes ownership of your body, your mind. And the experience can be dissolved through meditation, through enlightenment, through non-duality. But even Buddha will tell you, if this Buddha existed as a person and was still living today, that there are still little infections within each one of us. Do you think God's not infected in some way? You see? You think this God has to be pure? You give this God a state in your mind to say this God has to be pure. And God says, I'm trying my hardest, How can I be pure when I witness all this states of division, this states of contradiction? You see, once you accept the world and your body for what you are and just live very simply and basically with no intent, with no desires and needs and wants for more, then either God can maybe be answerable. But you think we don't create disease on God? You know, this is hypothetical. I'm using God as a word, I'm using the word God to try and determine something that we believe is much, much more profound and pure than our self. And we expect this God just to intervene through prayer, through good deeds, through bad deeds, through sins, through no sins, through enlightenment, through no enlightenment, through awakening, through being dual, non-dual, through transcending through dimensions of life which we all are. We are transcending through many, many dimensions. It's the same dimension, it's the same life, you see, but it holds many different qualities. Like your mind holds many different qualities: good, bad, horrific, beautiful, joyful, buoyant, pitiful, depressive. You know, this existence is not just what we think. The mind thinks there's going to be an answer one day, you see. Many more lives, even in an enlightened state, many more lives to overcome. You know, maybe not on this planet. This planet is maybe so infected now. And it's not your choice to move to different planets to become another human form, or an alien form, or an animal form, or a cloud form, or a tree form. The choice is not yours, you see. Consciousness makes all the decisions based on itself. God being consciousness. It's not a negateful way to look at life. It is a very positive way to look and say, well, whatever will be, will be. How can I make something out of this life? That's the problem. You want to treat this life as another stepping stone upwards or a stepping stone downwards. Just accept it as it is. You know, whatever is taking place is taking place. Your mind can make something out of it or nothing out of it. It's not going to affect the world outside. It's not going to affect your nature. We were born, not born. We were initially, let's say initially, the most incredible pure living forms alive. But through centuries of torture, slavery, drudgery, competitiveness, preferences, hatreds, division, sectarianism, communism, capitalism, racism, and that's just this life. So you think it just started when you were born? We look at history, we look at past, and we look at taking something good from it to move on. Now let it go. Don't take anything from history, even the good. Because you're going to need to drop things more than collect things. This, whatever I am, experienced the most profound state of joy, that profound state of enlightenment when that door opened and that Assisi says, yes, apparently this happened. But it's still learning. Even in the non-dual state, even in the accepting state, there's something ingrained that has to further be dissolved. You see, maybe it's death, you see, because if you're coming back into this world of duality, this world of separation, this world of competitiveness, this world of, you know, bureaucracy and hierarchy and governings and poverty and impoverished, you know, states of mind and heightened states of mind, all this incredible fictitious ways that Jiddu Krishnamurti says is nonsense, you know. Living this life like we do right now is nonsense, absolute nonsense. To glorify God, to glorify the world, to glorify you, to glorify anything special other than the whole essence of consciousness is just an idea, a concept, a thought-based practice, a thought-based word that can turn into an active role and make it become the doer of that world and expect some sort of reward, some sort of rosette, some sort of recognition, you know. There's nothing to be recognized. Everything is as it is, you see. Leave the universe alone. The universe is within, you know. None of these planets apparently up in the sky outside of us are separate from us. So why chase them? Why chase what is within? You see? So even in your enlightened state, the whole galaxy is within you, and you know there's still faults. There are still little niches, you know, to get that Swiss watch working impeccably perfect. I don't think anyone can do it, you know. But that's a great positive statement, because when you know you cannot do it, you just let it go. And you use that dreaded word and hope for the best outcome, you know. Beautiful enlightened state. And in this incredible pure life consciousness that Jesus said was this heaven, this paradise, is within. But every life now we're having to clean a little bit more. You know, polish some of the jewels, polish some of the vases, make the windows, you know, gleam, so that when God looks in, he can see you clearly for what you are. Please don't be offended by the, because we have a measurement. One of the good things about ego is it has a measuring capability. And you know that experience when you say, I'm really, really ill, and someone says to you, yeah, you're ill. But if you look at that one is extremely ill. You feel slightly better? Well, enlightenment makes you feel nearly completely better. I don't know if there's a completely better, you see. It's just the acceptance of everything with that gratitude, that even the illness, even the bad days, even the painful days, even the days when the heartburn doesn't go away, you know. How do I find some way of saying, thank you for this reminder of you know, my inability to accept life as it is. Not my ability to do anything about it, to accept it for what it is. You see, the light shines on everyone, but the light is shining from everyone. So we have two lights, you know. They just need to, you know, square themselves up a wee bit, you know. When I was an engineer, we had to get things exactly before it was welded, you know. So, can it be welded, you see? Can we be welded to just waking up one morning and being enlightened every moment, being free every moment? I could say with, you know, an ego state most of the day, most of the week, most of the year, if we measure it in time, for me is pretty alright, you know. But there are days or moments when you're reminded of the state you were before enlightenment and the life before that. Because you only get one enlightenment. So how many lives of misery, of tragedy, of war, of poverty, of richness? You know, to be rich, to be a king, in the next life, if you're poor, is to feel guilty that you were a king and you didn't use that kingmanship so well. But in this life, you're a king. Yeah? In the last life, you were poor. And you don't give away your castle and your jewels because you realize how really hard it is to be poor. You see, even the kings cannot be free of that pure, tranquil, incredible moment of love that we are. So you have a memory to remember you when you were a child. Use the memory and regress into centuries before and see what you were. You don't have to identify each one. You just have to know, well, if I was rich before, I need to know what to do with my riches now. Even though it is deemed by the mind that I'm poor. And if I'm poor now, then I must accept those that are rich to deem their riches upon me. And when I get their riches, I can give them away because I realize how important it was to be rich in the life before. And this poverty is not a poverty of materialistic wealth. It's just a poverty of just feeling as if I'm secondary or primary or thirdly or fourthly. You see, remove the mind of measurement unless you're measuring with heart and not head. God damn this head. This head has been stuck on this body for many bodies. I finally removed it. Think from the place of being. These thoughts can be accepted or let pass before they reach this dumb head, because the brain is working so hard without all these thoughts and nonsense and divisionistic ways, competitive ways, preferential ways, needful ways, desiring ways. I want more ways, and all these thoughts are suffocating the brain, and the brain can't give its neurons to the organs, and the organs start failing, and the body starts dying, and then we start seeking for enlightenment, seeking for forgiveness, seeking for that what we always were, but cannot just attain. So you can wait for the next life, or the next life, or the next life. There's no end to life. Doesn't matter if you fulfill this role in pure being. This idea that the saints give you, that you're going to be some sort of, special one to God, or one to Atman, Brahman. Absolute nonsense. It doesn't exist until we're all there. God will only appear when every one of us realizes and recognizes that what we truly are at the same time. And then boom, it's all over. And we're all in that kingdom, that heaven, that paradisial place that enlightenment shows you. Not out there, in here. And the way out is the way in. Namaste.